Yo,
Welcome to
yo.
Daddy Porter's double coverage with Daddy Porter, myself, and Matt Clarke.
Hello,
Bear
everybody.
down rips. What's going on, Matt? We had a very exciting Super Bowl we have to talk about, right?
Exciting.
Mm,
Could have been. It could have been a lot better if there was like a good team against the Seahawks.
mm, mm. Yeah, the Seahawks dominated, and as it was happening, it kind of wasn't a surprise. But the whole Sam Darnold and this new coach and the transition from Pete went so effortlessly. You have to give it up for the GM here. And what are your other takes on Seattle as a club and being a surprising? No one, I don't even think Seattle fans thought this was going to happen at the start of the year. So, where are you at with the whole reaction to, what happened?
My reaction is it is a team that had a very talented defense that just someone wasn't putting the pieces where they need to be. And I think their coach and GM just they figured it out. And sometimes that happens like first year. You see like a lot of first year pop for a lot of teams, and they were able to ride it to the Super Bowl. Having someone like Sam Darnold who proved on the Vikings last year that he can get it done, he can get a team to the playoffs, and then just the coaching staff. Honestly, it there wasn't a ton of changeover with the Seahawks from what I remember. I didn't see a lot of buzz about they they didn't sign superstars that, all of their all of their D line are on like really simple small contracts. None of them had more than 10 sacks in the season, but it's just their constant pressure, constant coverage, and like that defense was just suffocating to anybody that went up against them. And
Yeah.
I really think that I really think having a good defense, we're starting to get to the point now where it's been an offensive league for a really long time, but the defenses are going to matter. And the better defense is most of the time going to win those close games. Unless, like Caleb Williams is quarterback and can win the game in the last 2 minutes. Because not all quarterbacks can do that either. But like, I mean, yeah, the Patriots put up a garbage time touchdown against them. They would have been beat by Seattle's kicker. Like
Mhm.
it was impressive. The beatdown that they gave the Patriots was impressive.
Mhm. Mhm. And I
I,
don't
I
think you can, I don't think you can take anything away from the Seattle team, really.
no, nope, can't take anything away from them. Like JSN looked like an absolute just star this year. You had somebody feed like who was able to just feed him the ball. They have two great running backs. I think Charbonnet. I think they would be silly to let Walker leave. Um, I think that tandem works really well. Um,
Okay.
but yeah,
So before I don't think there's much more to say than what we just said here about it. We would like to show our meme of the week, right?
yes, we would.
I think I can do that, right? Yeah. So that was kind of the vibe that the Super Bowl was given.
Yeah,
Outside of the theatrics of it all and the halftime and all the other, stuff
yep,
behind it. It was kind of lame, man. But
yeah.
one of the themes that I think would be wonderful to transition to and bring our guest, which I don't know, y'all. I'm not sure if y'all should get used to having a guest, because we may not have guests. In fact, our format pretty much says not to have a guest, unless he's quick and or unless they're quick and we can get in and out. But I really want to talk a little bit before we get to our next guest about Sam Darnold. And I want to talk about Sam Darnold in the aspect of the draft, which we're going to segue to now because we're going to bring on our friend Nate the Great, who is going to talk to us about. He's a draft person who has put a lot of time in looking at the draft over the years, many years, y'all. So we're going to bring him on quickly, but he has a close, and I want to segue into this so then he can have a comment on this. And I don't want to talk
Mm,
about Sam Darnold and the whole Vikings thing and all that. No, 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 no. I want to talk about Sam Darnold as a development quarterback and how he was so highly touted coming out, and everybody thought that he was going to be good, and he landed in the wrong place clearly. But then he even went to a second place, and it didn't work out for whatever reason. And I wanted to segue and talk to y'all a little bit about, how long are we giving quarterbacks? And are we giving them enough time to develop, or do we want everybody to be Jaden, excuse my language, fucking Daniels in his fucking rookie year? And if he doesn't pop like that, then all of a sudden we have problems. Remember, Caleb Williams' first year was very rocky, y'all, very rocky. And coming into the second year, it was like 20 or 40% of Bears Nation was like, get rid of this dude. What are we doing? Why did we pick Jaden
yep.
Daniels? So we moved too quick on quarterbacks, is what I'm saying. And I think it's kind of clear with Sam Darnold. I think it's kind of clear with Baker, even though Baker kind of was a little messy on his way out, if that makes sense. Whereas Sam Darnold was just like, you know, you're not good enough for us. You know what I mean? Now the
Yeah.
Minnesota a little nuanced, and we'll get Nate's opinion on that if he wants to. But I kind of want to just jump off on that, Matt, if you don't mind, and then we'll get Nate up here real quick. If you want to say anything about that, or if you just want to get Nate on, this is a little bit.
No. I mean, like, I I think people give up on quarterbacks very quickly. Um, I think Sam Darnold showed what he could be when he had his little stop in Carolina. Actually, he
Okay.
showed as a
Okay.
serviceable backup
Okay.
there, and then obviously he had his Vikings season, and he just won a Super Bowl. So, like, I think people are really too quick to excuse me, move off of quarterbacks, like, especially when it's just they're not performing, but you have to look at the team around them too. Like, there's plenty of quarterbacks that have been on a bad team and then go and their development is broken. I think it has a lot to do with like what's up here for a quarterback, because like Sam Darnold went from the absolutely flailing Jets to the Carolina Panthers, who aren't contenders either. He finally gets a shot for like with a well put together team in the Vikings and shines. Like that kind of stuff, not every quarterback gets that same amount of opportunity.
Mm-hmm. 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 All right. And with that, further ado, uh, you have some words before we bring on our friend?
No, not at all.
All right. Well, without further ado, we'll bring on our friend for a bunch of years, a draft scholar, I'll call him.
I like that.
I don't know if I would call
Great.
me a draft
Well,
scholar, Greg.
I owned it. No one else did. No one else did. So, thanks for joining us, Nate. You're going to be here a couple episodes here. Matt, maybe y'all talk about that. I'm going to
Yeah.
go and listen to y'all, and I'll be back at the end here. I'll let y'all go and wrap it up here. But thanks, Nate, for coming on, buddy.
Yep. Yeah, I think I'm gonna put a couple of cents on the Sam Darnold thing, because I think you forgot about one stop, and that was the 49ers. And from
Yeah.
what, just being a Vikings fan, hearing about what he went through on the 49ers, where he could see like Brock Purdy, like, you didn't have to do everything. Like, you could just be a game manager and you could win games and you could get really far. And just from the people that I follow have said that really resonated with him and was a big part of probably how he got to Seattle and did what he did.
Yeah.
And that's one stop that I think you missed there, that I think is very looked over, because I mean, we all know Kyle Shanahan and what he does with quarterbacks.
It's very true. Not
yeah.
named Trey Lance, but yes.
So yeah.
So my question is what is it about Kevin O'Connell's coaching staff that can produce MVP level quarterbacks for other teams.
I don't know. I don't know, Matt. I mean, we were looking at Daniel Jones this offseason. I mean,
Yeah,
during the
it's
earlier this season in Daniel Jones's development and what he was doing with the Colts until he got injured. And I don't know.
it's wild.
Yeah,
It's
but
wild.
I mean, we're gonna find out this year. I think
Yeah.
if he's either gonna sink or swim this year.
Yeah. It's very true. It's very reminiscent to me of the Justin Fields when they brought in Andy Dalton and like or not no, sorry, not Justin Fields, Trubisky, where
Hmm.
Trubisky had like those 2 weird years and then they were like, "Well, we're going to bring in Nick Foles and we're going to bring in like,"
Hmm.
and then it's like, man,
Yeah,
Trubisky
I
never
think.
got another shot.
Yeah, and I mean, when Darnold left, there were a lot of people that were saying like, you could have just franchised him. He would have just been on the franchise tag this year, and he could have done that for you. But there's also the other side of that where he would always have the kid in waiting behind him,
Yep.
and the fans. The moment, I mean, even during last like 2 seasons ago when Darnold was with the Vikings, there was the Jacksonville game where he absolutely imploded in that game, and they just got lucky that Jacksonville did Jacksonville things,
Yes.
and they were able to come back. But everybody was saying if McCarthy wasn't injured, that would have been the game that they probably would have dropped the curtain on him
Yeah.
and thrown the kid out there. So it's what could have been, I guess, as a Vikings fan. Like, I really like Darnold. He was a really good human being. He was a really good person. Everybody served up the here, stick it to your old team, and he never took it ever. Like,
Yep.
during no interviews did he say that he's like, oh, these guys that I used to play with, like, yeah, he never did it with the Jets. He never did it with the Panthers or the Vikings. So
You have
high
to respect
class.
that, especially with how
Yes.
cutthroat the NFL seems to be with just cutting loose talent all the time. And you're given every single opportunity to throw people under the bus. And yeah, you got a fan already.
Yeah,
Jeez.
that's my buddy. That's my buddy Brent.
There you go. There you go. What's up, Brent?
He's a Raiders fan, unfortunately for him.
Oh, man. Hey, it's exciting times. Like, man, drafting a quarterback
Yes.
first overall is fun.
Which I think is a good segue.
Yeah. So, what we're gonna do is we're gonna have 3 mock drafts. We're gonna get you one now, one after the combine and after free agency, and then one right before the draft for the next couple of episodes. So yeah, we can start hopping in. I'll go through mine quick. And then we can go through yours. When I was doing a little cross comparison earlier, the only thing different in ours is basically 9 and 10, I believe. So yeah. So here's my mock draft. Fernando Mendoza, he's the obvious pick, quarterback of the present and possibly the future there. Heisman winner. I think he's going to bring a lot of stability to the Raiders, even as a rookie. I think he has a very high floor, personally.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Jets. Arvil Reese has just he seems like he can be like just an absolute stud for them. He could be their green dot guy. That's just going to be in the middle, be a leader on the defense. And since they completely gutted their defense, I think it buffs up like a desperate need for them. Arizona, I have them going with I'm terrible with names. Malgoa. I'm gonna go Malgoa.
I think that's right.
But yeah, they're going to need to protect whoever is going to be the quarterback in Arizona. It seems like Kyler's on his way out. But whoever's going to be the quarterback, even if they keep Brissett, who played better than Kyler this year, they're going to need someone to protect him. Ruben Bain, he's going to be the first edge off the board here. Their defense struggled a little bit, and I think bolstering the line will help just keep them in games more. I have the Jets taking Fano now, or not the Jets, sorry. I have the Giants taking Spencer Fano. They did have a top 10 line, but they need someone to start coming up because both of their tackles are kind of aging out here a little bit. So then here I have Carnell Tate going to the Browns. He'll be a good complement to the Sanders and Judy tandem. And I could also actually see them going edge to either replace Garrett if he's traded or just add youth to the line opposite Garrett. David Bailey going to Washington. Washington needs a lot of stuff. But yeah, edge or tackle for the trenches. And then I think relieving Kamara or Kendre Miller, who's often injured. His biggest problem is health. Putting someone in there like Jeremiah Love really is just going to help the running game overall, and I think it's going to give a really good baseline for Slough going forward. Jordan Tyson to the Chiefs. It's kind of a joke. I said they needed a good wide receiver that doesn't have a speeding addiction. But yeah, that I could really see him doing some positive damage for the Chiefs there. And then Caleb Downs to round out the top 10. With Trey Hendrickson leaving free agency, they have to find another elite talent to waste on the defense, and that's probably going to fall to Downs there. And then, so Nate, you are a Vikings fan. Greg is a Browns fan, and I'm a Bears fan. So I finished him out. I have the Vikings taking Lone. I could see them taking a corner here, but protecting JJ or whoever they draft, or if they bring somebody in free agency, it should be a priority, especially with now 2 injuries that kind of took JJ McCarthy out. I don't think even with paying somebody, I don't think it's a bad idea to just bring in some youth to the line, even if he's going to end up being someone that's like a little more developmental. I think it can boost there. When I was in the mock simulator, there was a lot of trade offers for the Browns 24th pick. I can see them taking Sadiq to complement Fannin Jr., especially with David Njoku likely walking in free agency. And I could also see, just because of the Jimmy Haslam nonsense, them possibly taking Ty Simpson here if for some reason the new coaching staff doesn't like Sanders, or if Haslam just wants to be in it more. And for the Bears, I have them taking Akeem Mesidor. It is a reach, which I'm aware of. I could see them trading down to try to get more picks as well. But I do think he's probably, I say D-line here, but that's not true. I think he's the best edge in that range. And he stood out all season. And then in the national game, put up some nice numbers too.
Yeah.
So yeah, we can hop over to yours then, and we can kind of discuss a little bit then.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah,
right.
Like you said, we kind of have a lot of similar thought processes here on how we think this might shake out before we kind of know what happens in free agency or what free agency, combine, I mean, those things kind of dictate a lot of what happens in the on draft day. We know that people can move up with a fast 40, or people can make some crazy move for a quarterback in free agency. I think Fernando Mendoza going number 1 of the Raiders, I think they might as well just announce the pick at this point. I think it just makes too much sense. It just depends on who they decide they want to bring in to like have as his backup, if they want to keep Geno Smith or if they're going to bring in somebody else to kind of tutor him, because I think that's one of the things that the Raiders don't do the greatest at times, is like they don't take the time to develop their people. But also, like, I think later on in this draft, the Raiders have to really look at their line and finding ways to protect Mendoza, but also Clint Kubiak's style offense should really help him succeed early and get a lot of quick and easy wins. I don't foresee them jumping into the playoffs next year, just based on what Harbaugh has to do for the Chargers. The Chiefs want to get back, and all those other teams that they have in their division. But I think it should definitely, the Raiders should definitely be on the right track with Mendoza. With the Jets, I really aimed to try. There's no quarterbacks, unfortunately, for the Jets. So I went with the quarterback of the defense, with Arvell Reese. I thought linebacker and just the best defensive player in the draft made a lot of sense, especially with their head coach's background. The Cardinals, that's going to get interesting because all signs are pointing towards Kyler's not going to be there anymore. So they have to draft somebody to protect whoever they got, because it's probably not going to be an all-pro at quarterback for the Cardinals. So I went with Magua, and then Ruben Bain to the Titans. They drafted their quarterback last year. So I went edge this year just to really kind of have those two cornerstones that they need to get that organization moving in the right direction. And then for the Giants, I went with Fano. A couple of years back, they drafted Evan Neal. I thought he was going to be a tackle, but it looks like he primarily plays guard now. So I just getting some youth out there and getting somebody to help protect Paxton Lynch from himself, frankly. And then we got Greg's Browns going with a wide receiver, Cardinal Tate. I know Greg.
Did you just call Jackson Dart Paxton Lynch?
Oh my gosh, I did. Oh, that's a deep cut.
That is a deep cut.
Yeah. Anyway,
that's hilarious, though.
Yeah. Cardinal Tate to the Browns. I know Greg said that he wanted 2 linemen on his team, but I mean, Fano and Magua are the clear 1 and 2 at tackle, and I think there's a little bit of a gap there in terms of value. And I mean, you can't question wide receiver for the Browns. I mean, they hardly have anybody on the roster right now. They'll be a number 1 anywhere else. And then Washington, their defense is so old this year. I mean, I believe they had Von Miller. They had, what's his name? The linebacker, Bobby Wagner on that defense. They need to get some youth on that defensive side to help Dan Quinn out a little bit. Saints, I was very tempted to make the same pick you did, given Kamara's age. But I think wide receiver makes a lot of sense with how injured Olave has been over the last couple of years. I kind of lean towards, let's just press the wide receiver button. You can't have enough wide receivers. And that was similar for the Chiefs. It was between Lemon and Love for running back. I went with wide receiver, though there was a Dolphins wide receiver released today that might look good back in red and open up a lot of things for Mr. Mahomes. And then Caleb Downs at 10 for the Bengals. Number 18 for the Vikings, I went Avion Terrell. The Vikings need a corner. they have such age at corner. They don't really have a clear number one. They need to add youth to that room. They have two pretty good ones right now with Rogers and sorry, my voice is really going with Rogers and his name's escaping me right now. He was a free agent last year.
But that's kind of the point, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like
yeah,
he in their other corners more of a slot, and he can kind of move towards each. I think Terrell would be more of an outside, and that would allow the other guy to kind of move around a little bit. And then Browns, I went with the other Utah tackle in this draft, just to get them a lineman. I mean, they like Greg was saying, they can't protect anybody back there. They need to give Shedeur more than 2 seconds to throw the ball. And then I went best defensive player available for the Bears in that last playoff game. Matt, they're missing just premium players there. They really need to, and this is a position in a group of positions, frankly, that I mean, I could see them swiping the credit card this free agency to bring in a lot of talent and free agency on the defensive side to help that out. So
I completely agree there. I could see them swiping the credit card. I could see him sending this pick. There was one insider, I forget who it was, but he just published today that he said it makes a lot of sense for the Raiders and the Bears to make a trade and get Crosby over for DJ Moore this pick.
Yep.
Because it helps out Fernando Mendoza immediately. It gets money off the books for the Bears, enough to pay Max Crosby what he wants. And then you have Crosby. Whoever you're going to take in the second round would probably be an edge to help out there. And then you got Crosby Sweat going.
Yeah,
and that would be huge.
That would be a very good trade for both sides.
Yeah,
and I think outside of this, we didn't have our complete mock drafts on here. I think the most interesting picks outside of what we're looking at is going to be where that second quarterback drops. Ty Simpson, I couldn't really find a spot for him. Like Pittsburgh, I was kind of like, but with Rodgers, it's really sounding like Rodgers is going to try and go back there.
Right.
And I think that might ruffle a little bit of feathers, and we know Mr. Rogers tends to not like his feathers ruffled, if you catch my drift.
Yes, it's very true.
I think the Rams having two picks, like since Rams have two picks, if they don't take a quarterback, I don't think they're gonna take I think this is a very bad draft if you're going into it without your number one single color. You're in a lot of trouble.
Yep. I completely agree. I will say now, I am a Penn State fan, and I do think someone's going to get an absolute steal with Drew Aller. Because he's not projected in the first 4 rounds now.
Right.
I keep seeing him going in the 5th round. And I think that kid has just he does crumble. He does sometimes crumble under some pressure, but that's the kind of stuff that you can learn from. He makes some throws that are just absolutely ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
He likes to run. He's I don't want to say he's like Josh Allen 2.0, but he has that kind of he's a big dude. This is his season ended because of injury, but I think that's one of his first injuries that he's had. And the kid can sling it. They never put a good wide receiver core around him. And Tyler Warren was in the conversation for the Heisman when Drew Aller was feeding him last year. So
I think quarterback is just it's not the draft for a quarterback, which isn't always fun. You end up with a ESPN commentator trying to push a quarterback into the first round that ended up going in. Where does Shedeur go? The
5th? I think 5th round.
Yeah. So
it'll be interesting. And so Nate, the reason that I wanted you on here is because shout out to our NFL shit talking group, but we always have really, really awesome conversations
Yeah.
about draft coverage. So like that's why I was like, Nate is the perfect person. You can ask Greg. Greg, if you want to come back in here and back me up on here. The first thing that I thought of when we were talking about the draft was I was like, oh, I gotta ask Nate. Like, I gotta see if Nate would like help out and do this.
Well,
wasn't it, Greg? It was like we started talking about the draft coverage, and I was like, oh, we gotta get Nate in.
well, and here's the funny thing about the draft. The draft is the whole reason that I got to know Greg Washington, because I got into the draft in high school. So like back in like 07, like 06, like I was really into it. And then throughout college, I ended up running a draft website. Just to kick just to have fun and just look at stuff. And then that got me into coaching, semi-pro, and that got me into meeting Mr. Washington down there. And we go back a long ways. And the draft is kind of what brought everybody together.
So is this a good year for O-line, Matt Clarke?
At the top, I think.
Yeah, I think at the top. I think there's a lot of talent. It seems like it's more guard heavy for talent that can come up in the ranks and like might surprise some people. Right, coaching is going to matter here. Wide receiver seems pretty top heavy too. This actually seems like it's a really good draft to need defense.
Yes.
Which I could also see the Bears literally picking entirely defense. Maybe Ben Johnson will take some swings with some of the later picks, but I could really see this being a defensive draft class that we are talking about for a really long time.
Yeah, and I think there's a transition happening in the NFL right now where you see a lot of tackles going to guard and a lot of guards going to tackle. Like there's a lot of dual play going on. So just because you drafted a tackle, Greg, doesn't mean he's playing tackle right now. So I mean, any spot on that Browns O line probably use a little bit of shining up.
It's the ebbs and flows of defense, right? So the defense starts getting lighter and quicker, so that you need the big bulldozers on the outside to block the edge, and then the defensive the D linemen are getting bigger, or the tackles and stuff are getting bigger and slower. So if you have a speedy guard, he can just push that guy off and get to another block. Like it's I think we're starting the transition of outward facing.
Well, and then you have the Seahawks coming in the Super Bowl and just completely just road grading the Patriots. So like they're built basically off of the run, and then they sprinkle in the big plays with Sam Darnold's big arm. So
yeah,
the NFL's it's just funny how far the NFL goes one way towards like offense and like let's run trips and let's run all the way down the field, and then like 5 years later it's back to the running game and it's just road grading other teams because everybody got too small trying to defend the pass. So it's very
I think that's why
interesting.
A good blocking tight end is really, really important. Like if you have a guy that can just do something to the D line before he gets out there and is a problem, like it's hugely beneficial. I mean, the Bears are running 12, 13 personnel like all the time now. And it's just, you see Cole Kmet just stuff somebody, and then it just makes the Bears O-line was drastically improved this year. But in general, like you see someone like Cole Kmet just blasting somebody, then Loveland's just out there wide open because no one can catch him because he's like our light guy. But he can block in the run game really well too. So
yeah, I'm just interested to see what happens in free agency and how that changes up our mock drafts. I think it can be. I don't think my Vikings are going to do a whole lot, but I know that they're getting a quarterback.
When is that?
So the combine is this week, I think. Hold on, give me 1 sec on that.
My man.
Yeah, I'm going into the schedule right now. It's like very. Combine February 17th to March 3rd is the window to use franchise tags. So that starts this week. I don't think that you're going to see a lot of franchise tags used right away. That's usually something last minute that happens. Combine is February 23rd to March 2nd. And
March
then,
11th is free agency.
yep. I
So
think
the
March
tampering
9th.
window is what, a day before or 2 days before now?
Yeah, March 9th at noon, noon and 30 seconds, you'll probably see the first ones drop
Yeah.
because everybody's trying to get their guys press release out there real quick.
Yep. And then April 23rd is our draft.
Yep. And then there's a lot going to be shaken up between now and then. It's going to get very, very interesting. Off season is always fun.
I'm hoping our mocks are completely different.
Oh, I think they're going to be.
Yeah, I think 2.0
free
is going to be
agents.
a lot different, especially with like some of those later picks. Like I could see if Tyreek Hill, for example, who was just released today, ends up back at the Chiefs. I don't think they're throwing a first rounder at a wide receiver. They'll take somebody with talent late.
Right. I'm not sure if Tyreek is able to sign with anybody right away, because usually when you depends on what they designated it. I don't know what they designated it. So, but you can get released, and then as long as you clear waivers, you can go and sign with another team right away before free agency.
I think it has something to do with the league year starting, though, and I don't think the league year starts until March.
Oh, that's where that designation starts. If it's
So he's released, but he's not released until March 9th or whatever, or the 11th.
Yeah.
So he might miss the first wave. I don't know if he counts for the legal tampering for free agency or not. Well, I guess he would.
He would.
So,
It's just the trades and stuff are going to get really interesting too, because they're gonna. That's what. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, this was fun, guys. I really appreciate being asked to come on. I'd love to talk ball with you guys more often.
Yeah, absolutely. Like it's awesome to have you here, man. Like it's cool. As soon as we had mentioned draft coverage in general, but so I gotta we can
hold on, Matt. When's the next time we'll see Nate?
We will see Nate on the 30th. March 30th will be our next mock 2.0 draft.
All right. And what are we expecting on that day?
That is going to be our updated mock 2.0, as well as
the top 10 and a couple other ones in the first round, or the whole first round.
We could do for that one. Let's do a full first round, because then free agency will have shook out. Hold on, sorry, I'm trying to look at my calendar here. Yeah, free agency will have shook out by then. It'll be a lot more interesting for all of the teams once we've kind of seen if they've addressed needs and stuff. It really does shake up a draft. And I always like to look at a mock draft from what a GM's actually going to look for, because there are definitely GMs out there that will go best player available almost no matter what. And sometimes it's great. Sometimes it's to the absolute detriment of their team.
Oh, okay.
There's a team in Baltimore that tends to draft pretty consistently good. Sorry, Greg.
Yeah.
Okay. So on that note, we're clear here, right?
Yeah.
For this evening. Okay, Matt. Yeah. Matt, you said you had something to say about the draft going out here, or the off season, or something that you.
I would just like to apologize. Yeah, I mean, to a few people here about Man, I was so wrong about the Tyler Warren Colston Loveland thing. I was I don't I don't know if you guys remember on draft night when
Yeah.
they drafted Colston Loveland. I was like, what the f- are they doing? What the hell? Like, I was like, I don't understand it. I mean, I guess if this is going to be a Ben Johnson pick, it's going to be a Ben Johnson pick. And man, I was so wrong. I love Tyler Warren. I'm a Penn State fan. I like I was he had a great rookie season. Was he the best? Was he PFF's highest rated rookie? No. Do you know who was? Colston motherfucking Loveland.
You were so mad on draft night.
I was so mad. I was so mad. So yeah, like, oh, I was so mad. And you know what? I was wrong. I was wrong, and I owe an apology to anyone that saw me crash out about that. So there's that.
Apology accepted.